Hello and welcome to my channel, It's Okay to Not Be Okay. My name is Stephen East and I'm an accredited CBT therapist. And I've been practicing EMDR since 2013, and that's what today's video is going to be all about. What is EMDR, this mysterious eye movement therapy you've probably heard about? How does it work? How did it come to be? What can it be used for? All will be explained. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to start off today with a quote from Laurel Parnell. She's one of the leading figures in EMDR, and in her book Rewiring the Addictive Brain, she describes EMDR like this. EMDR is a powerful and effective treatment for trauma. It incorporates eye movement and other bilateral stimulation into a comprehensive approach that processes the information trapped in the mind and body, freeing people from disturbing images and bodily sensations, debilitating emotions and restrictive beliefs. This revolutionary therapy has helped millions of people of all ages recover from such traumas as war, accidents, assaults, disasters, and childhood abuse. EMDR has been extensively researched as a treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder and is considered to be an evidence-based therapy. In addition to treatment of PTSD, EMDR is also used to treat the psychological effects of smaller traumas that manifest in symptoms of depression, anxiety, phobias, low self-esteem, creativity blocks, relationship difficulties, and a whole host of other problems. Not only does the healing occur much more rapidly than in traditional therapy, but it also results in a clearing of emotional and physical blockages, and many people also experience a sense of joy, openness, and a deep connection with others. Okay, so you're probably wondering what I'm doing here. Looks a bit strange, doesn't it? And that is quite a strange part of EMDR actually, in that we use eye movements or stimulation of both sides of the brain through other means to process these trauma memories, these upsetting life events, these distressing life events. And I want to explain a bit about how that might work. You see, EMDR was discovered and it works, and we've kind of had to put the theory in place to kind of explain the phenomenon of why it's so effective. I'm going to share a couple of those with you now. So the first idea is that, you know, when we're dreaming and our eyes go into rapid eye movement, or REM, well, if you hook up our brain to a computer, that is actually when our brain is the most active of any part of the day. Okay, so when we're dreaming and our eyes are kind of flickering back and forth and we're in REM, our brain is really active. And the reason it's so active is it's processing everything that's happened that day. It's kind of throwing away old information, connecting new information, making sense of everything, kind of like a computer defragmenting, you know. So often in the morning you wake up and things feel a bit better because something's kind of processed and something's shifted. Well, this can be seen as the brain's natural way of recovering, natural way of healing. But if we experience a trauma that's just too big, it overrides the system. You know, a trauma doesn't get processed in the same way and it remains stuck. And what we can do with EMDR is we can use these kinds of eye movements to stimulate the same part of the brain that's active when we're dreaming. Okay? So this kind of kickstarts the brain's natural healing process. So we can bring up a trauma memory, use the eye movements to stimulate, you know, this part of the brain that processes, and we kind of combine them together, and it allows the information that's stored in this trauma memory, in this upsetting life event, to be processed. Okay, so that's kind of how the eye movements work. That's one theory behind it. Another idea is we've got a kind of dual attention thing going on, in that we've got one foot in the past and one foot in the present moment. So it's kind of like, you know, we've got one foot in this memory in the past, we're recalling this memory, we're bringing up all the emotion, all of the negative beliefs, all of the images that go with this memory. And we've also got one part of our brain that's focusing on the bilateral stimulation. And that means that we've got kind of two brains kind of hooking together. So this present part of the brain, we've got all our rational thought, all of our wealth of knowledge and experience, everything we've got in our consciousness, our intrinsic memories, our everything else, all of that gets kind of connected to that trauma memory and allows it to be digested. Once again, it allows it to be moved on from, and adaptive information connects with this and allows all of the distress to be released. And once again, we can move on from it. I really like to think of it in this way, that really, when we have a trauma, it kind of gets stuck. Okay, so all the rest of the brain isn't really connected with it. It gets stuck in space. It doesn't know when it happened. It doesn't know what it is. It's kind of stuck and easily triggered. Kind of like a room in a massive mansion, but the doors are locked. So you can't get, if you're in that room, you can't get to any other of these rooms in this big mansion. And what EMDR does is it stimulates the brain's processing. It stimulates connections between neurons. So we're stimulating that part of the brain that accelerates processing whilst connecting to that memory, and we're really opening the doors to all of the other parts of our brain and allowing information to flow between them all. Make sense? One thing that I particularly love about EMDR is how it came to be. Most psychotherapies kind of developed, and research was conducted, and it changed a little bit more research, and we're kind of finding our way to something that works, EMDR is very different to that, in that it was discovered by a lady called Francine Shapiro. And this was in 1987, and I think she was studying English at the time. She wasn't a psychologist yet, and she was going through a lot of difficult times in her life. A lot of distressing events had happened to her, and she happened to notice that when she moved her eyes back and forth, the level of distress started to decrease. So she started practicing this with friends and family and things like that, and found the same thing happened. And she developed it, and then she went to university and she got funding to do some research on some Vietnam veterans who had PTSD. I mean, that would probably never happen today because it's very hard to get funding, but luckily conditions were right that she was allowed to try out this new idea. And the results were amazing, all of these veterans with PTSD, well not all of them, but 90% of them, the symptoms came down. It was very difficult to explain how, because traditionally PTSD had been very difficult to treat, and this had a wonderful impact. And it went from strength to strength. Now it's the number one treatment for PTSD, and it can be used for so many other different things. Any anxiety problems, attachment issues in childhood, depression. It's even been used to help golfers improve their game, for professional golfers too. So the applications of it are amazing. And as you can imagine, when it first started EMDR, there was a lot of traditional psychotherapists who, they really didn't feel good about this, because how can wiggling a hand in someone's face, reduce the symptoms of PTSD? But it did, and she persisted, and the evidence speaks for itself. So I really think that's so cool about how this therapy developed. Massive thank you for watching my video today. I hope you found it helpful and informative. Please leave me a comment below, if you've had EMDR, if you're wondering if EMDR might be appropriate for you, if you've got any questions, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell so you'll be made aware of any new videos I do, and most importantly, take good care.